Intel made several huge announcements yesterday that pleased stock market investors. The stock is up 5% today following those announcements yesterday. Overall, Intel management has done a good job communicating with investors during its troubles of 2024. Those challenges arose as Intel fell behind in the semiconductor industry. Management boosted investments significantly to make up for lost ground. Investors have been skeptical of those investments, arguing that it's too much too quickly and the return on those investments are not going to be as high as management expects. Given those concerns, Intel stock price is down 56% in 2024, while the broader semiconductor ETF is up 34%. In the announcements yesterday, management took steps to alleviate some of the biggest concerns. So let me share with you the details of those announcements, as well as my analysis of those moves and what it could mean for Intel stock investors. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now. All right, so Intel management saying that they have three big ideas that they're working on. The first is to build their momentum in the Foundry business with the launch of Intel 18A and driving greater capital efficiency across this part of our business. This is where the bulk of the investment has gone into for Intel. The company has added billions of dollars in capital investments over the last several years to build out this Foundry business on top of the company's design business. They must also continue acting with urgency to create a more competitive cost structure and deliver $10 billion in savings that they targeted last month. They must also refocus on the strong x86 franchise as they drive our AI strategy while streamlining our product portfolio in service to Intel customers and partners. And the primary one that I think investors are concerned about is the capital investments, the capital structure of the investment in the Foundry business. Intel's capital investments, I have a chart here of Intel's capital investments over the last decade, and you'll notice here a huge increase in capital investment in Intel. Now, in 2015, 2016, 2017, capital expenditures over a trailing 12-month period were consistently below $12 billion annually. In recent years, those capital investments have surged, reaching close to $30 billion in a particular 12-month period and have been above $24 billion in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive quarters of trailing 12-month updates. So Intel's capital expenditures have been increasing significantly since 2017, 2018, and even 2019, 2020, 2021. And this is what has investors concerned. This is a lot of money going out from Intel, and you've seen the consequences of that. Intel had to pause their dividend payments as a result of all this money going out in capital expenditures. Now, thankfully, Intel made an announcement for that Foundry business that should go to assuage some investors. They made an announcement that they secured a deal with Amazon Web Services, a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar framework covering products and wafers from Intel. Foundry will produce an AI fabric chip for AWS on 18A. They'll also produce a custom Xeon 6 chip on Intel 3 that builds on their existing partnership, and they expect to have deep engagement with AWS on additional designs spanning 18A, 18AP, and 14A. So, on top of just the revenue and profit impact of this deal, it also goes to highlight Intel has a market for the Foundry. It has a market in Amazon is one of the biggest customers, one of the biggest chip buyers in the world. And so with Amazon agreeing to this deal with Intel, it kind of gives it a great foundation for that side of the business to build on. The Foundry business will rely on scale. It's how many units can it produce, how many customers, how many units of each customer. The larger the scale, the easier it becomes to generate profitability with this kind of business. It's a scale business, as we've seen from Samsung and Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, The more units you produce, the more economies of scale kick in and the better the profitability of that business. So this provides a great foundation for Intel as well as it has several other customers. Intel saying that their Foundry, they've tripled their deal pipeline since the beginning of the year. So there is significant interest for the company's business, and you can kind of feel a little bit better about these massive investments Intel is making when it makes announcements like this, that it has a growing pipeline, and more so that a pipeline, signed deals is what we're looking for as investors. Intel also announced that they've been awarded up to $3 billion in direct funding under the CHIPS and Science Act for the U.S. government. And that's another reason why Intel has accelerated these investments, is because they're getting assisted by the U.S. government to incentivize the manufacturing capacity of semiconductors in the United States. They were already planning this, but then when they got that award from the U.S. government, or when those awards were available, they said, all right, we can subsidize our upgrades of technology and manufacturing if we do it right now. And that's what management capitalized on, trying to take advantage of as much of the government subsidies as they possibly can. And investors argue that they did too much. They went too far. And I would agree with investors that they did go too far. And in fact, management has even, what we'll see a little bit later, it's kind of management admitting that they did go a little too far. So they want to add greater independence for Foundry. So they plan to establish Foundry as an independent subsidiary. And this external Foundry, customers and suppliers with clearer separation and independence from the rest of Intel. And it gives them greater flexibility with what to do with the business. And this has been a concern with Intel Foundry. Since Intel does sell its own branded chips, there was concern that the Foundry business would not thrive because customers would be hesitant to give it business because they would be concerned that maybe Intel will use some of their designs for their own branded chips. This is something that Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing avoids because they are simply an outsourcing manufacturer. They don't have their own branded chips, and so customers feel more comfortable giving Taiwan Semiconductor business because they know they are not going to use their designs to create their own branded chips and compete with them on their same product lines. Now, that side I'm not too certain about, but what this will do for Intel is it gives the business greater independence. Should they want to maybe sell a percentage of this business? Should they maybe want to sell this business entirely down the road? Maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when they have it established and they've built it up to a larger scale. Maybe they want to sell it off if they get a reasonable offer and they can get a good return on investment. So it gives them the flexibility to do that by spinning it off the way they have. And like I highlighted at the top of the video, Intel has underperformed significantly. Not only have you lost 56% of your money with Intel year to date in 2024, but you've also missed out on the gains from the semiconductor ETF, which is up 34% if you chose to invest in the index instead of Intel stock individually. So Intel making steps to alleviate some investor concerns. For one, making that announcement with Amazon, that's a big sale, that's a big deal. That will help reach scale for that business, which will reduce the losses and get it off and running. And then secondly, Intel announcing that it will be splitting off the Foundry business, and that will give it more flexibility. And if they should want to, they could sell that part of the business and then return to their core design business and branded Intel chip business. So good news for Intel stock investors coming out from this announcement, and I'll have more from this announcement coming soon. Did you know that over 90% of the people that watch my channel are not subscribed? It'll really help support my channel if you hit that subscribe button. And oh, by the way, one of the benefits of being subscribed is that I take requests from subscribers more often than I do from non-subscribers. So if you prefer that benefit, please subscribe to the channel.